Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Nicholas, this is Redline Ranch, and today we're back in the Hilux. Today we're actually gonna be taking it for a little bit of an impromptu road trip. We're gonna take this thing up north. My brother, Elevated Overland, who lives about 3.5 hours away, needs some trim that he got powder coated down here in my bigger city. We're gonna go up there, we're gonna drop it off, and we're gonna see how the Hilux does along the way. But first, we got a couple things to take care of. This tire's low, and I have no way to charge anything. So I'm currently taking apart my ignition so I can wire up a little cigarette lighter port so I can get my inverter thing and charge everything I need to charge in this thing. So I'm gonna jump on that. We're gonna get some power wired into this thing. We're gonna get some air in the tire, and then we'll be hitting the road. And after a little bit of running around, we've got air in all the tires. I checked all of them, they're all at 30. We've got power to this power outlet so I can charge stuff, and I can make sure I've got music and charge batteries for cameras and stuff, which is cool. And this is a 110 inverter, so I can actually plug anything I want into this thing. Not anything, obviously, it's tiny, but I could plug an actual wall charger into that. So I think we're finally ready to hit the road. We'll see how it does. I've got spare oil, a jack, a spare tire, straps, pretty much anything I might possibly need on the side of the road in a 1970s Toyota Hilux. So I'm gonna hit the road, we're gonna get on moving, and hopefully we can get there in a reasonable amount of time. So we've made it like 3/4 of a mile, and I want to address a few things that I am not concerned about, but that are on my mind on this trip. The back window is plexiglass and not fitted very well. And even though we live in a very, very arid desert that doesn't get much rain, it's looking like it's gonna rain. These tires are, I don't know how old. It feels like the rear brakes aren't working. There is a pretty bad coolant leak, and then I remembered that this thing, the reservoir, has a hole in the bottom, and the nipple broke off of it that this goes onto. So the reservoir is going to nothing, so I should grab a radiator overflow in form of like a Gatorade bottle or something. We have some coolant leakage around this that I fixed, but that's okay. I'll buy a gallon of water. Is there brake fluid in this thing? Yes. No. So the rear brakes are obviously leaking fluid somewhere, so I'm gonna need to assess that eventually. Probably not gonna get assessed today, but all in all, we've made it less than a mile. We've got a coolant leak. We've got no rear brakes. This passenger side mirror is about as useless as anything could possibly be. And it's a 1973 car that I've driven all of maybe 50 miles so far, 100 miles. I say actually 100 miles. We took to Madrid. So we're about to take it on the longest journey it's ever been on. I don't have gauges. I don't have a shoulder belt. The back window leaks. Tires are who knows how old. But you know what? It's a Toyota, so it's gonna make it. We're at the first gas stop. This thing's doing pretty good. I checked the oil. Oil's still good. I added a coolant reservoir so that it's not just pissing onto the ground like it was. I added brake fluid to the rear brakes because it was empty, which is probably why the rear, I don't think they're gonna start working now that there's air in the lines, but it is what it is. Other than that, it seems to be doing good. It doesn't seem to be overheating. I filled it up with fuel, and we're about to hit the road. Hopefully it does good, and we'll see how the Hilux does on the highway. This thing does not love going highway speeds. It really prefers 65, 70 tops, and the speed limit's 70, so we're gonna be doing like 70, 75. But I'm excited to see how this thing does. Hopefully it doesn't have any more issues. Hopefully it just cruises along. I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a lot of cool looks. People are always, you know, waving, giving me nods, which is always a good feeling. And man, I'm losing my voice because I've been screaming the last few days, but I'm really excited. We're gonna get back on the road. Oof, the tailgate's open, and I don't know when that happened. So I'm really hoping that we have Let's see, hopefully we have everything we started with. We seem to be okay. Yeah, I look back and the tailgate was open, and that's no good. I really don't want to be losing anything out of the tailgate of this thing. So we're gonna get this closed up. I think these handles just rattled loose. We might need to do something about that for long term. But all in all, went decent. Trim is still hanging in there. Good to go. I guess I'm gonna jump back in the truck. All right, well, we're getting back on the road. Let's see. All right, it's starting to rain. There's a little bit of traffic, but we're gonna get on the road. Hopefully the rest of the trip goes smooth. So far, the biggest issue has been the tailgate falling down, which is totally doable. We're hauling ass. Just kidding, we're going like 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. The speedometer's just off by a ton. This thing handles so much better at 80 than it did before. It's literally insane. And I'm sure my time lapse is looking fabulous right now with that vibration. We've made it off of the highway. We're about 3.5, almost 4 hours into the journey. And the Hilux is so much happier cruising at slower speeds. We're doing 45 or 50 now instead of 65 or 70. The engine sounds happier. It's a lot quieter in here. And it's a lot less shaky in here. So I'm excited. I don't think we're gonna be doing much highway driving for the rest of the trip. And we're almost to dropping off the trim that is in the bed with Elevated Overland so he can finish up this camper he's got going. It is an awesome rig, by the way. If you are into Toyota camper vans, if you are into camper vans in general, if you're into Sunraiders, Chinooks, anything like that, go check out Elevated Overland. He does awesome work. He has got a YouTube and Instagram, and he posts all of his work on the internet for everybody to see. Worth checking it out if you're into old campers, if you're into camper life in general. He's almost done with this full frame-off restoration on an 83 Sunraider, and we're gonna be getting a few things done for him. So just for what it's worth, if you're into stuff like that, go check him out. I'll have the link in the description below. We made it to Patrick's shop. We got the trim dropped off. It is a crazy windstorm right now, so I'm actually gonna hit the road, but I noticed there's a pretty big oil leak going on under the car. So I wanted to go check it out, and I'm losing my voice even more because I've been having to yell over stuff. I think it might be this line leaking, which isn't the worst. I will just make sure I'm full of oil. We're a little low, I've got extra. And what is this, is that? Looks like there might be something going on there. Let's start this thing up and see what's going on, if we can see the oil leak. Oh, she fires right up. Oh, we got coolant in our overflow still. Oh, what is that? My battery just bubbled. It bubbled out again. Okay, so I think my battery is overcharging. I've got an oil leak and I've got a coolant leak. Well, good thing it's only 5 hours home. We got it filled up on oil. It's still got coolant in the overflow, so I'll check that when I fill up with fuel. But we're gonna hit the road and we're going the back way home, which has got a lot more mountainous, pretty roads. Really excited. Hopefully it's a great drive. And hopefully the weather kind of clears up a little bit so we can enjoy it. Well, my feet are getting wet, and I don't know if it's because it was raining or if because I've got coolant spilling. So we're stopping to figure out why my feet are wet. from the pedals. You can see everything down there's wet. So I'm hoping the coolant isn't leaking, but also we're getting some gas because we're hitting the road after this, and I don't think there's a gas stop for quite a ways. Well, we've got a pretty severe heater core leak. So I'm gonna go jump under the hood and bypass the heater core. Oh boy.
Start it up.
Look at that. So we just the bypass. Now these lines going into the cab aren't doing anything, and they won't be dripping coolant on my legs. 9 gallons. We made a giant mess of coolant everywhere. I got the heater core bypassed. This thing's doing good. It's overcharging to the point where my inverter for 110 is actually going red. It's getting too much power and it won't charge. It'll only charge my phone when the car isn't running, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but I'm not too worried about it. My phone's charging right now every time I stop for fuel or anything like that. 179 miles is what we went according to maps. So 180 miles, 9 gallons, that's 20 miles to the gallon. Can't complain about that in a car that's 50 years old. All right, we made it into Chaa. I'm still losing my voice even worse every time I talk. I was on the phone for about 10 minutes on this last journey, and it really took a toll on my voice. So, unfortunate, but I am really enjoying the trip. Chaa is a beautiful little town. We're gonna stop, we're gonna get some gas. My phone charger died. The whole inverter died. It's been overcharging. The battery's been boiling over, and it killed my inverter. So I have no phone charger. So I'm actually gonna be getting a phone charger while I'm here. So hopefully they have everything I need. Hopefully it's not crazy expensive, because we are in a small town. We're just outside Chaa, and there is some nasty weather on the horizon. Pretty much every direction's got some sort of nasty weather. So hopefully it's not too bad. It does get pretty wet in here because of that, if there's any sort of crosswind. But all in all, the Hilux is doing awesome. These are the gauges I have. I can't really read them. But the one thing I do know is my battery's boiling over and it killed my inverter. So I know I'm overcharging. I'm sure I've got 15, 16 volts going through the system. But I bought another phone charger. Oh no, is it already dead? No, this one's not dead yet. Thankfully. I don't think anyway. We got it to charge. That's important because my phone's at 15%, and if I get stuck or lost or anything, it's my really only hope to get home. So, all in all, Hilux is doing great though. Got our charging issue solved, and now we're just on the road, cruising, enjoying these back roads. I really enjoy getting off the beaten path and taking some roads that have beautiful scenery, some trees, some water, and everything around, because the same old boring desert drive gets old. One of the things about the Hilux is there really isn't any windshield wipers that are worth a damn. It used to work. Now the windshield wiper button doesn't even work. And when it gets rainy, you can't see nothing. I'm not sure how hard it is to tell through the camera, but visibility sucks in here. Well, in the last 20-25 minutes, everything has changed. The scenery has gone from mountainous to cliff sides and red rock, and it's gorgeous. The temperature dropped from probably 75 or 80 to about 55, 60. I had to put a sweatshirt on. The heater core is now bypassed, so it's pretty chilly in here. And there's lots of holes in the cab. You feel air coming in from the doors, from behind me in the window. You can see through the shift boot that's torn to the pavement. So there's quite a bit of wind in here. Pretty cold in here, but all in all, this is off by quite a bit. So we're cruising about 70 right now. It's doing great. My biggest issue is that I'm losing my voice and I can't talk to you guys more. Well, there's not much to talk about anyway because the trip's going so smooth. So I'm really stoked with the Hilux. I think there are some things that can make it a great road tripper, but for now, it really does everything I want it to do. I'm stoked I decided to take the Hilux on this trip instead of another car. I was debating taking one of my 4Runners or a more reliable rig because I wanted to make sure I didn't have any issues. But also I was pretty confident I wasn't gonna have any issues with the Hilux. I just hadn't taken it this far, and so I was a little bit nervous. But the brakes feel better than they did when I left. I make sure we have fluids. We're leaking some oil pretty bad. We're leaking some coolant pretty bad, but nothing terrible. I've been able to maintain it. We haven't gone through a gallon of coolant or a gallon of oil yet, so it's not leaking as bad as it could be. All in all, I think we're doing great, and dang, this Hilux is really kicking butt for being 50 years old. We're stuck at a construction zone traffic light, but traffic's already going the other way, so it should move quick. I think if I loud whisper, I can talk louder than if I actually talk. Not being able to talk to the camera normally is driving me up a wall. I feel like I'm sick, but I'm not actually sick. I feel fine, but I feel like when you're sick and you can't talk. It probably doesn't help that my nose is super stuffed up too. Oh, we're moving. Sweet. I love this truck. I just went through a DWI Checkpoint back there, and I'm sure you saw it on the time lapse. And the dudes were just asking me all about the Toyota. They asked if it was a diesel. They asked all the information on it. I told them I had a YouTube. It was awesome. I love interactions like that. It makes me so happy to drive a vehicle that people are interested in and that sparks conversation. I just thought that was really cool. And I hope all the officers out there stay safe, and I'm glad they're getting some drunk drivers off the road, because boy, can it be bad. And drunk drivers are no joke. They kill lots of people every year, and it's just not cool to do. So if you're out there, don't drink and drive, get a designated driver, and just be smart. It's getting dark, it's getting stormy. My voice is really starting to get strained, so I'm probably not gonna be filming a whole lot for the rest of the night. But we're rolling into Santa Fe and the skies are gorgeous. The weather is just making some really pretty mountains. You can see the rain in the top of the mountains over there. And I am so glad I went the scenic route and took my time and enjoyed the drive. This thing is doing awesome. The Hilux is great. It's got some lights on. It's not perfect. It doesn't have a heater right now, and I'm kind of freezing my ass off, but it's still a really fun truck to drive. I'm super stoked with this thing, and I am beyond excited with what I have planned for it, because it's gonna make it 100 times better. Who thinks this thing will do a burnout when I take off? It did. We're back in Madrid again, and that means we're pretty darn close to home, and finally somewhere the Hilux has been before. Such a pretty town though, like seriously a gorgeous town. Well, would you look at that? The Hilux made it home. It did fantastic, no issues. Just about 500 miles today. Did a ton of driving. It didn't have any major hiccups. It's overcharging, it's leaking a bunch of fluids, and it's not necessarily warm right now, but nothing that barred it from just continuing on and trucking along like a true Toyota. Can't ask for anything more. I'm gonna go to bed.